Object-oriented programming. See, object-oriented programming is totally based on the real-life scenario. So if you want to incorporate the real-world scenario in programming, then we use object-oriented programming. So what all we were not able to do in the previous style of programming, the previous paradigm of programming, like your functional programming, right? So which is available in object-oriented programming. So that is what we are going to see in this video. So first of all, we'll talk about the pillars which are there in the object-oriented programming. So first of all, we'll talk about abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So basically in object-oriented programming, you get something known as classes. So if any programming language supports the feature of class, then it is known as object-oriented programming. For example, C++, Java, C Sharp, Python, etc. So these are programming languages which are supporting the concept of class, and due to supporting the concept of class, it is supporting these four features which are provided by object-oriented programming. Because ultimately object-oriented programming is revolving around objects, and you create object of a class. So you need to understand that the main building block of object-oriented programming is class. Now we'll talk about abstraction. Abstraction has two features. First, hiding complex details, and second, showing relevant details. Now here we can see one example of this box. This box is hiding whatever is inside this box. We don't know what is there inside because it is completely hidden, right? Now let me show you one more example where we have this laptop. In this laptop, few things are shown like this keyboard, the keypad, touchpad, monitor, the on-off button, right? But there are few things which are hidden, like for example, the motherboard, hard disk, internal circuitry, right? So everything is hidden inside this structure, that is laptop. But there are few things which are shown to us. So what is shown to us? That is something which is relevant to us. So it is not showing those things, those complex things which are useful for the user, to make it more simple, right? So this is called abstraction. Then we have encapsulation. Encapsulation is the wrapping of the things, right? So like for example, this term is actually coined from capsule. Now you know that inside the capsule, your medicine is hidden, right? You don't see that medicine which is kept inside the capsule. So in this case, you are getting somehow confused that how your abstraction is different from encapsulation. See, understand this from this slide. Abstraction cannot happen without encapsulation, because what is happening here, encapsulation is giving you the way how you can do the abstraction, because unless you have some way to wrap up, you cannot hide, isn't it? For example, in the case of that capsule, so that capsule is hiding the medicine. If we don't have that capsule, we cannot hide. So in a similar way, encapsulation is giving you that body, that structure, which will hide the data, right? So in programming terms, we do encapsulation with the help of class, right? So class is helping us to encapsulate whatever is inside the class. So only the things which I want to display outside, I'll make them as public, otherwise they'll remain as private. So this public and private is abstraction, where we are showing or hiding the things, and encapsulation is that class which is wrapping up everything within that, and we are not able to access unless it is public. So they cannot be separated. This is what we have to understand. So abstraction and encapsulation are like two sides of a coin which cannot be separated from each other, because encapsulation helps in getting abstraction, right? So we can see these two sides of the coin. It cannot be separated, just like abstraction and encapsulation. Now we are going to talk about inheritance. Inheritance is a very important feature of object-oriented programming, which gives you the feature which is reusability of the code. So if something is already defined in your parent class, can be reused in the child class, right? The way we inherit the property from our parent, right? So children get the property of the parent without doing anything, isn't it? So similar way in object-oriented programming, we are trying to incorporate the real world scenario, right? So if we are creating a child class and that child class isn't having anything, then also it is able to call those things from the parent which are created in parent. So this is called inheritance. So child can access the parent's data, right? The parent's code. So that is accessible, right? This is the concept of reusability. This is a main important feature of object-oriented programming, right? So we can reuse the code. Now, one more very important thing which we need to understand, that is inheritance versus composition. It is very oftenly said that you should use composition if there is a scenario where inheritance and composition both are possible. But yes, having said that, there are scenarios where only inheritance will work. But if there is a situation where both are possible, go for composition. Inheritance is like, which we already discussed, that there will be a hierarchy. So a child is inheriting from the parent. But in the case of composition, it is like things put together making one. In this case of car and engine. So engine is a part of car, right? Similarly, wheels, engine, various other things put together makes that car. So that is called a composition relationship. So there is no inheritance between the car and the engine, right? There is a composition relationship. Now, polymorphism. The term poly means many and morphose means forms. So something which has many forms, just like this ice, which you can see in this picture. This can be available in three forms. You know that: water, ice, and water vapor, right? So on the three different states of the same thing. So this is how I'm explaining the polymorphism. So how do we achieve this in our programming? With the help of the overloading and overriding, right? So let us understand the first one, which is static. So method overloading. So there we change the parameter, and based on the parameter, the same method name can be created. So I can have, let's say, 3 add methods with different parameters. Now here, if I compare it with this ice example, here the parameter is temperature, right? So if the temperature is changing, that is changing its form, right? Now for dynamic polymorphism, you are actually going with overriding. But remember that dynamic polymorphism cannot happen without inheritance. So dynamic polymorphism is that the name of the method is same plus its parameter is also same. So parent class and child class both has same method with same name with same signature. Signature means parameter. So what will happen if I create the object of child? So child will override the parent. This is the concept of overriding. This is a very hot topic for the interview questions, right? For object-oriented programming. So static polymorphism is like constructor overloading, operator overloading if it is allowed for that programming language. Then your method overloading, right? So method overloading, constructor overloading, and operator overloading. So these are the three things available in C, right? In Java, we can do constructor overloading and the method overloading. And in C# also, we can do all the three, right? Now, for dynamic, it is you need to remember that it is must to have inheritance. But static can be there with inheritance or without inheritance, right? And static polymorphism is also known as early binding since it is done at compile time, right? And dynamic is also known as the late binding, or it is called as at runtime polymorphism. So these are all synonyms. So this is just the introduction to object-oriented programming, and later on I will be explaining the same things using any of the programming language.